Ultimatum, I guess, 1. Alright, so I decided to do this shit on the fly. It just occurred to me. We need to talk about choices. Choices, motherfucking choices. Usually the idea and the concept of choices was not at all on my mind. However, with this presidential election coming up, 2016, choices are becoming really relevant. It's on my mind a lot, like every day. So, for the record, I'm a registered Democrat. Let me see. I'm about to change my registration. I think after this presidential election, I'm just gonna go independent, and because I vote for whoever the fuck I want to vote for anyway. So, back on topic. Choices. So, in this cycle, I've heard the term lesser of two evils a lot, right? And so, I want to tell you why I disagree with that shit. So, first of all, the idea of voting for lesser two evils is self-destructive. It's also a little bit like ignorant, because abstinence is also a choice. You can totally just abstain from the shit. You don't have to actively choose an evil, you know? You can seek out and support a non-evil. So, for instance, using, again, this presidential election as an example. Right now, you have the Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, and you have the Republican nominee, Donald Trump. So you got these two people, right? However, there's two other people that are running on the ballot. So it's not a choice of lesser two evils. It's literally a choice of 4 people, right? So you have Gary Johnson running as a libertarian, and you have Jill Stein running for the Green Party. So now the viability of a candidate is really mainly in their ability to garner votes, right? So I want to focus on that for a second. The viability. So you may be saying, oh, Jill Stein, motherfucking Gary Johnson, these niggas ain't no goddamn options, like they're not legitimate, right? Well, here's the thing. The primary legitimacy is based on the amount of votes that you're able to garner, right? So if they had been running actively, pardon me, if they have been running actively since early last year, early 2015, like a lot of other candidates, if they had the kind of exposure and the ability to garner excitement, then they would have gained more votes. So now, for instance, you have Gary Johnson, who on average he polls at he hovers around like between 13 and 16%, something like that. Jill Stein hovers around 9 to 10% of the people that's polled. Now, if that's a representative sample size, and if that's supposed to represent the entirety of the United States, well, guess what 10% of the United States is? That's 30 million people. So really 10% of the vote is illegitimate? That's how it's framed. Now I want you to pay attention to that. The legitimacy in the framing. So you're told that it's the choice between two evils. You're told, okay, on the Republican side, you're told, you know what, we don't want this Hillary Clinton bitch. On the Democratic side, you're like, we don't want this crazy Donald Trump asshole. We really don't kind of want either. Like, neither of them are like really all that like great as candidates, right? So instead of finding and seeking out two other people, for the most part, Americans seem to be just accepting what the television is telling them, which is there's two candidates. There's Donald J. Trump and there's Hillary Clinton. All right? Now, so just on this face, the lesser two evils things is laughable. Like, one, I'm choosing the evil anyway, and two, it's not even apropos in this particular situation. Like, we're literally choosing between 4 candidates, but it's framed as if it's 2. Now, personally, there's nobody running that I give my full throated support to. I don't give a fuck if it's Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, Clinton, Trump. My candidate lost. I'm looking, actually, hoping that Jill Stein's vice presidential candidate becomes a presidential candidate for the Green Party. Then I might give my full-throated support. Right now, I'm giving my half-ass support to the Green Party personally. And why? It's a personal thing. It's literally because of the platform of the Green Party. It matches up with my personal wants, desires, wishes, and goals, and political ideology about 80%. And that's really a lot for me to say for any, really for any political group. Now, the second thing that I wanted to touch on real quick is I wanted to emphasize how there's not just two evils. And with the emphasis I want to put on that is the framing. Okay, so when we talk about the presidential candidates, it becomes very clear to me that a lot of people don't really do their research. They're not holding their favorite politician's feet to the fire. They're not double checking. They're not even going, like, PolitiFact is a website, right? So, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go on this real quick. PolitiFact is a website that literally they take the speeches and the quotes and sound bites and shit from politicians, right? They take the shit and they fact check it, and then they give it a rating, you know? I believe the worst rating is Pants on Fire, which is liar, liar, pants on fire, and like pretty much everything you say is wild bullshit, or this is complete total bullshit, blah, blah, right? Now, people don't even go and check the PolitiFact ratings. Now, this is literally a nonpartisan group that all they do is they fact check politicians, and they put it up there for you on the website. You don't have to fact check it. You don't have to sit there and listen to some fucking half-hour speech on fucking national security policy suggestions from a particular candidate, take notes, and then go on the internet and hit your library and all that. You don't really have to do all of that, because for the most part, because you have PolitiFact to fact check that shit for you. It makes it tons easier. I get into political conversations with people, and clearly they're not even aware that PolitiFact exists, let alone use the motherfucker. So that's kind of disturbing to me, because people speak about this shit with such zeal and passion. And at first I was wondering, if you don't know shit about your politician, how could you speak with such zeal and passion? You know? It's kind of crazy. It's like, I put it like this in colloquial terms. For all those people who've ever made drug deals and shit, right? So let's say you go to buy some motherfucking marijuana, right? It's you by yourself. You're trustworthy to the marijuana guy, right? Your weed guy. So he knows you. Everything is good. You go there, you give him money, he gives you weed, you go the fuck home, right? Now let's just say there's somebody that you just met, literally that day. Let's say it's somebody who, you know, who's new to town. You know, they was asking, hey, you know where the weed is at? You felt guilty, you felt bad for them, so you was like, you know, let me help him out. Let me do him a solid and give him the weed connect, right? So you bring them literally to the person's house, and you vouch for them with your entire life. You say, I know this guy. You say, I trust this guy. Oh, it's okay. Now, if you're being honest with yourself, shit, you're lying your ass off. And that's what people are doing with their political candidates. They're meeting the political candidate, right? They don't know jack shit about them, except, well, things that they were told, you know? So, like, for instance, you take motherfucking Hillary Clinton. All you know about Hillary Clinton is things, well, shit, you've been told. She's Secretary of State. You were told that she was Secretary of State during Benghazi, which, well, is true. You were both told truths and lies regarding her actions during the Benghazi attack on the U.S. Embassy out there. But that's what you know, right? So, and you know what she's told you, but you got to fact check. You know, some of the things that she says out her mouth are wild lies. Some of those things that she speaks out of her mouth are, they're nice to hear, but they're suspicious considering context. Now, if you have no context, you wouldn't know to be suspicious as fuck about this bitch, right? So then you flip it to the other side. Let's say Donald J. motherfucking Trump. There's a lot of people supporting him and really don't know very much about the guy. I mean, they say things like, he's a very successful businessman. Well, he said he's a very successful businessman. Other people have said he's a very successful businessman. But by most standards of success, The guy's really not that fucking successful. He's a moderately successful businessman. A super successful businessman is somebody like, I don't know, Richard Branson, Elon Musk. And I'm not saying that because they just so happen to mostly support Democrats and shit, and I'm a registered Democrat and all that shit. No, I'm just pointing them out as an I'm just pointing them out as examples of people who are successful business people. If you consider that the standard, right, then this guy falls way fucking short. Way short to the standard, you know? I mean, he's a fucking tenacious businessman, because for years and years and years, he's never gotten out of business. But the reason I even know that is because I looked it up. I researched it. There's public information, a lot of it, on either candidate. Either candidate, Hillary Clinton or Donald J. Trump. There's tons of public information about Jill Stein as well. I'm just saying. There's tons of information about Bernie Sanders. I mean, so we got to stop speaking in these weird platitudes. You got to stop saying the same things that you just hear off of TV, you know? You got to challenge the people that tell you shit, even if you trust them. You just go, hey, where'd you hear that from? Hey, where'd you get that from? And, oh my God, like, it's frustrating, because people are parroting shit back to me, and I'm like, as soon as I hear the parrot shit, I ask further questions, because I'm like, I hope you have, like, facts behind this shit. So, for instance, people were saying, oh, Bernie Sanders is too old. He's too old. I said to them, too old to be a politician for 4 years? And they said, yeah. I said, so what is it? You don't trust the old niggas, you don't trust the old niggas' ability to make decisions? They go, yeah. Old people, they're doddering and old and they're weird and shit, right? So I'll go, okay. Let's say that's a valid concern. Who you supporting? So then they'll go, Hillary Clinton. And I say to myself, well, by the same logic, she's an old bitch. I mean, she's literally less than 5 years younger than the guy that you said was way too old. So you're saying, like, where's the consistency? Where's the consistency? There's none. It's a platitude. It's something that somebody else said, and it sounded like a reasonable justification for an opinion. And so you just repeated it, which is really bad, because that person could have been lying to you. They could have been bullshitting you. All right? Now, speaking of the person's lying, speaking of the person's bullshitting, you have the motherfucking mainstream media. So you know what? Let's call them what the fuck they are. You know? They're the lamestream media. I'm gonna use Sarah Palin shit. So yeah, the lamestream media is not lame because they ask gotcha questions. Cause what the fuck? First of all, what the fuck is a gotcha question? Like, ask that bitch to define it. You know? Number two, let's be clear. They're lame as fuck. Because if you just simply fact check the people that are on, let's say CNN, I'll make a short list. If you fact check CNN, if you fact check MSNBC, fact check Fox News, also fact check Breitbart, and fact check Huffington Post, you're gonna find that they kind of fall short a lot, which is kind of disgraceful, because it's your job to just tell the truth. Their job. So years and years and years ago, I decided I'm no longer gonna fuck with a lot of these motherfucking stations, because they lie. I've heard people that I favored just bullshit me just straight to my face, you know? And if it wasn't for my capacity to fact check, then I wouldn't have even known they were lying to my fucking face. So I'm gonna call out Anderson Cooper here right quick, because I was rooting for this guy. Yeah, he owed money. He's some rich nigga. You know what I'm saying? He came from the CIA into fucking in the news and shit. You know, he's gonna have an interesting career trajectory. Plus, I was rooting for the guy because I'm a straight guy, but you know, I'm very much close to, and I'm a friend of the LGBTQ community. And I was rooting for, you know, an LGBTQ person being prominent, you know, and having a prominent position, because it gives hope to all those kids out there who, let's say they're half-ass comfortable with their sexuality and living in this fucked up society. But then now they also know, like, yo, I can be openly gay and I could be on motherfucking TV. I can reach a goddamn goal. You know, I don't have to hide my shit just because, you know? And then it turns out the guy's a bullshitter. He's a bullshit artiste. And that's the problem. So let's just recap real quick. There's a narrative that we have to vote for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. And the reasoning for both is the same. They'll be terrible for the country, okay? Now, one side says, the Republican side says Hillary Clinton is corrupt. She's corrupt as shit, okay? The Democratic side says Donald Trump is crazy and racist. And just he's a bad man. All right, so, I mean, there's Gary Johnson, There's Jill Stein. Now, I want to note something. In order to get into the national debates, you have to have 15%. You have to be polling at 15%, right? So when they go to poll people, which, let's just keep it 1,000, they kind of catch mostly at least 60% of the same people every time every year that they do the polling. When you poll people, right, they have to say, I'm going to vote, or I'm maybe voting for XYZ. At least 15% of people, right? So let's say there's 4 candidates: Gary Johnson, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Jill Stein, right? Now, it's 4 of them, right? Like, follow me. 15%. So let's say each of them has 20%. Well, that's 80% with 20 left over. That's not crazy. Okay, so let's be realistic. Hillary Clinton is polling at about 40-something%, and Donald Trump is polling at about 40-something%. So that's 80%. That's just about 80%. If you want to be nice about it, let's say 75%. So 75%. That leaves 25% of people left. That's 25%. You can only only one more person can make it. So far, it's looking like Gary Johnson is that one fucking person is going to make it. And it's weird because if Jill Stein just barely comes in at like 12, 13, then like, what the fuck? Now, I'm weird about that. I feel very, very, very uncomfortable with that shit. Really, because the representative sample of 15% is about fucking 4.5 million people. That's 4.5 million people. To put that in other terms, if you had 4.5 million people buying your motherfucking music album, you just sold more than Drake has sold in one time. That's multiple platinum. Well, let me not say more than Drake has sold at one time. I'm not exactly super up on his numbers, but it's certainly more than a guy has sold in a week. I'm pretty confident about that shit. But just in general, let's use another example. That's Eminem type sales numbers. That's Drake type sales numbers. In a week, that's maybe even more. But 4.5 million people. So if a music artist had that shit, people would be going bananas. This is the most popular guy in the fucking country. 4.5 million people. Jesus Christ, that's a lot, right? When it comes to presidential debates, that's nowhere near enough. That's just barely enough. 4.5 million people. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. 4.5 million motherfuckers said, you know what? Gary Johnson is my dude. Around at least 3 million people. At least 3 million people said Jill Stein is my bitch. And guess what? She can't debate. She can't talk about policies. She didn't quite make the fold. Now, you had the Republican debates and you had the Democratic debates, right? You don't have debates for the Green Party. You don't have debates for independents. They just don't have debates. Now, you may wonder, okay, so during before the primaries, all right, how do these alternative candidates get any kind of voice? Well, they get their voice heard the same way that everybody else get their voice heard. They gotta spend that bread, that paper. They gotta give that guapo chalapo, right? So they gotta pay outlets like MSNBC, like Fox, they gotta pay the local stations, cable stations for advertising. They have to pay them X amount of money, and it's in the hundreds and tens of thousands of dollars, and sometimes even in the low millions. They pay them money to say, hey, run my 30-second ad, run my 15-second ad, and don't just run it once. I gotta pay you more if I want to run multiple times. So here's the money, run my ad. Now let's say somebody's rocking from the grassroots, right? They don't have that much motherfucking money. They can't pay to just be on TV. That costs mad money. So what do? Well, they gotta hit the internet. They gotta go alternative. They can't really fuck with newspapers. The pricing is similar, and it reaches way less people. Just to keep it 1,000. So you go with the internet, and then what you got? What you got? You got people struggling to get traffic drawn to them. And guess what's the nastiest thing on the internet? What do people on the internet hate the motherfucking most? Advertisements. So if your only choice is to go to the motherfucking internet to advertise your fucking political candidacy, how effective could that possibly be expected to be? When at the thought of an ad on the internet, people go click, nope, not watching that. And that's why all of these expectations are super duper motherfucking unreasonable. So again, I say to you, fact check shit. Fact check it. Because if you don't fact check it, you're just another fucking retard. And I'm not gonna debate, I'm not debating anything with you. I'm not debating politics with stupid people. With people that just watch TV and believe it. Go kill yourself. Eat a dick. Go get raped. Triggered. Bang, bang. I'm just saying. Whew. On another note, what made me so passionate about this shit is I've been political since I was a little kid. Yes, this is true. I've been politically aware and since I was a little kid, and that was during the early and mid 90s. I was born in the late 80s, yes. But yeah, during the early and mid 90s, I became particularly political. Yes, this was during the time of the Clinton administration. Used to actually have a sexual crush on Hillary Clinton. As funny as that is, and I'm not supporting her as a candidate for president of the United States. Like, let's just be real. So, I'm going to say something good and something bad about all of the 4 candidates, just to be fair. All right, the first ones I'm gonna go with is the ones you know the most, and the last ones, the ones you know the least. As I huff and I puff, walking up this goddamn block. H-World all day, Wash Heights, ya tu sabes, you already. Sorry, check it. Donald Trump. Here's something good about him. The nigga got swag. He's got presence. He's got a lot of presence and charisma. It's really fucking awesome. It makes him fascinating to watch. Makes him an entertaining guy. And to be perfectly honest, in my experience, charisma a lot of times is how you get your way with people, you know? So I'm pretty sure like a handful of the times that his business deals have actually gone right, it's his swag and his charisma. And no, don't say, well, he is the guy that wrote the art of the deal. He didn't write the art of the deal. His face is on the art of the deal. The art of the deal is, yeah, there we go. The art of the deal is like, what you call it? It's like Trump Towers. He didn't build it, his name is on it. He gets credit for it. That's 2 different things. So, you know, you look at Trump Towers, like, he's not an architect. For a lot of the buildings with his name on it, he doesn't even manage it. He just got, you know, his name on it. He licensed his name out, which is a whole different money thing. So again, good thing about the guy, he got charisma, and to be perfectly honest, if you ain't got no self-confidence, you really have no business being anything, let alone a politician. A bad thing about the guy, damn, it's no one knows anything about his policies. You know, I can't say I can't say that I'm for his policies or not for his policies, because I don't know what the fuck they are. Every time he states a policy, literally in the same sentence, he goes back and then contradicts himself. So like, he just had a Q&A about Iran, about ISIS, and TYT actually did a very interesting video where, and I think it was like 5 or 6 questions. He said like 88 irrelevant things. He said some relevant shit, a handful of relevant things. But let's just picture that for a second, right? You ask a person a question, a direct fucking question, 6 of them, and out of 6 questions, your man says 88 things that have nothing to do with the question you asked him. That's a feat. It's almost like trying on purpose. It's crazy. All right, so I'm gonna move on. Hillary Clinton, something awesome about the bitch. She's slick. She is slick as her fucking husband. She might be the slickness behind the Willie, you know? Because they used to, if you're unaware, they used to call him Slick Willie because he's a smooth talker. You know, he's a politician's politician. You know, he had the ability to get a lot of shit done. But anyway, so yeah, Hillary Clinton is, whew, damn, she's slithering like a snake. I mean, if you don't give a fuck about morality and just straight, I don't know, not even really getting shit done, but yeah, getting her own shit done. There we go. Her own agenda. Yo, Hillary Clinton is that bitch. Like, I wish she would use her powers for good, you know, but I don't think that's in her nature. Yeah, and like, yeah, you could, whatever. So yeah, that's a good thing about her. She's really fucking clever. I can't lie. She's a slick person. She's G's all the way up for that. I'm a Machiavellian type person myself, and I see you, boo-boo. Alright, so a terrible thing about her, let's say a bad thing about her. A bad thing about Hillary Clinton is that she hasn't built up a lot of trust. What I mean by that is, well, kind of self-explanatory. There's no real solid reasons to trust her. So, for instance, she'll say one thing, and then whenever it's convenient, she'll completely say another, you know? On top of that, when she's confronted with issues, she doesn't address it until the crazy shit happens. She refuses to address the shit. She won't talk about it until the last possible minute, right? Which makes it like, okay. So, for instance, with the DNC leaked emails, she had no comment. She never told us, you know what? Those emails had nothing to do with me. Those are just people working for. She gave us no assurance that she had no wrongdoing, none of that shit, right? Until the second wave of those leaks came out, and then she was like, you know, we're being cyber attacked, and she just completely shifted the blame. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, as an ex-military member, that's right there is a lack of integrity. Like, if somebody on my team fucked up and it's not me, but it's coming on me, the first thing I'm gonna say is, look, this is what happened. I'm not them. They did what they did. That shit is horrible. I'm handling it. And matter of fact, I want y'all help to help keep me motherfucking accountable and help keep these assholes accountable, because yeah, we're on the right team. Yay, let's do good shit, right? So anytime somebody does bad shit, you go ahead and distance yourself from them, right? That's the logical thing to do. And that would give us a sense that the person had integrity. Hillary Clinton has yet to do that shit. So fuck it. So let's see, Gary motherfucking Johnson. Gary Johnson, the good thing about Gary Johnson is the dude is, I'll keep it funky, he honest. That's some real shit. He's a libertarian, and honestly, my definition of a libertarian is a Republican with some goddamn common sense. I'm gonna say that one more time. My personal definition of a libertarian is a Republican with some goddamn common sense. So yeah, they'll be fiscally conservative, they'll be socially conservative, but at the same time, they also understand that being fiscally conservative means being against the war on drugs. It really does mean that. Like, that's being honest with yourself as a Republican. Like, yeah, I'm conservative. This shit is not effective. If it was effective, it'd be popping, but it's not effective, and we're just losing money on it, just wasting money harassing people. And that's just one of his stances that I actually happen to agree with. But just regardless of whether I agree or disagree with the man, the dude keeps it a buck and 50, you know, and that's I like that shit. I mean, I've looked into his record. There's a ton of shit I disagree with, handful of shit I do agree with, but you know, for what it's worth, the consistency is kind of amazing to me. It's atypical of a politician. You'd only find that consistency in Gary Johnson, Rand Paul, his father Ron before him. What other consistency? You'd find that consistency in Senator Bernie Sanders. That same consistency is found in Representative Maxine Waters. Let me see. That consistency is found in his last name is Cummings. He's a representative from the Northeast Coast somewhere. He's super consistent with his voting record, right? But it's odd, but not every politician flip-flops. And Gary Johnson, as far as I've seen with his record, he's not a flip-flopper, so you know, amen. All right, so the last one, Jill Stein, the good thing about her and the bad thing about her. A good thing about Jill Stein, oh my God, yo, she's a fucking warrior. If you're an activist, especially if you're a political activist and you don't fuck with Jill Stein, you wildin'. I'm sorry, like, you wildin'. That should be your OG all day. It's like you a chick who's all Black Power and you never read the ISIS papers. You faking. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be a Black Power chick without reading the ISIS papers, and you can't be a political activist and about that life without respecting the G of Jill Stein. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just is what it is. She literally puts her body where her mouth is. You know? She bothers to research issues before she speaks about it. She'll speak to members of a culture before she speaks on their behalf. I'm gonna say that one more time. She's a politician who will actually speak to members of a particular culture before anything, which is just motherfucking awesome to me, right? I'm sorry for that bleeping shit. That was my hand, because I'm lazy. I might strip this shit and make it all audio. I'm not gonna do that. Either way, a bad thing about Jill Stein is I don't think that she realizes, not even if she realizes, let me rephrase that, her angles of attack have been, wrong. I feel like Jill Stein emphasizes the victim and the victimized role and shit, and she's not really super good at, like, how can I put it, doing the dirty shit, you know, the morally gray things. I haven't seen her do anything bad, and I'm hoping that she remains a politician who doesn't do anything bad. But as far as the gray areas, I'm all about the gray areas. Call out the other politicians, you know what I'm saying? Push shit on your website, you know, do the dirty shit, talk bad, talk nasty, talk evil, you know, sling a little bit of mud, get dirty. She's kept it fucking clean, and I don't like it, honestly, to keep it honest. So those are a good thing and a bad thing about all of the candidates. And I'm gonna wrap this up by making my point one more time. All right. When anybody gives you an ultimatum, like the lesser two evils or any other ultimatum, give me your money or I'm gonna shoot you. All right. You never have just two options. There's always a third option. I call it the fuck that option. I choose the fuck that option a lot in my life. Sometimes it's gotten me beat the fuck up. Sometimes it's made niggas respect my G. I've lost, I've won, but I keep my integrity and my self-respect by realizing and utilizing the third option. You know, the two options aren't good for me, so I go, if nobody's presenting me a third option, then I have the ability to just fucking create one, you know? Give me your money, or I'll shoot you. So that means, okay, I give him my money and he doesn't shoot. I don't give him my money and he does shoot, right? The third option is, how about I don't give you my money and I fucking swing on you and I try to wrestle that gun out your hand, because I'd rather you shoot and kill me and then take my money anyway. Because what is this whole bullshit? What's this illusion of if I don't give you my money, you'll shoot me? Like, it's not like you'll leave my fucking money in my wallet. You're gonna rob me anyway. So, third option, fuck it. And that's why I call it the fuck it option, because I usually use that example of the robbery shit. The other point I wanted to drive home for a third or fourth fucking time is, do your research on shit. People present you shit and it's all well and good, but I'm telling you right now, anybody that gets paid to give you information, you gotta check their biases. You gotta go research what the fuck they say. Even more than people in your day-to-day life. Because the people in your day-to-day life, they're allowed to be wrong. They're allowed to give you that biased bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're humans. This is not their fucking job. But when you on CNN, when you on MSNBC, you on fucking Fox News, you on whatever the fuck, you on some local news channel, you get paid to tell me what the fuck is going on. So when what you tell me is going on is not what the fuck is going on, I'm not supposed to trust you anymore. You just broke that trust relationship. So if I fact check you and you consistently come up short, fuck you. And that's why, again, I say, Anderson Cooper, eat a dick. Yo, fuck you, man. You're not even remotely trustworthy in any sense of the goddamn word. And that same thing goes for the entirety of CNN. You know, these are the same motherfuckers that gleefully showed a guy being hung on national television. They showed someone dying and losing their life, Saddam Hussein, on national motherfucking television. They did that shit proudly. Now, there's tons of motherfucking studies, since they love to go to study so much, there's tons of studies that show the detrimental effect it has on any human being, whether they be a child, a teenager, or an adult, to see somebody lose their life. But we showed somebody being hung by their fucking neck. That was CNN. Proudly. And I remember that because when I was in the military, they made us watch that shit on CNN in our day room. You know, on a little chill spot and shit. So, yo, fact check. Because these motherfuckers is lying. You know, and the information is out there. What the fuck happened in Benghazi? That information is online. Don't go to just one source, you know? And my honest opinion is, if you're gonna look some shit up, look up what people are saying that support it, and look at what people are saying that go against it. And then you mix the shit together, and then that's what you got, alright? Because honestly, everybody is biased. You know, it's like asking a Nas fan to tell you about Nas albums. There's gonna be a little bit of bias. So then, if you really want to get, like, if you're doing some fucking school project on Nas and shit, then what you really need to do is go talk to somebody that's a fan, talk to somebody that hate the motherfucker, and you mush your two opinions together, and somewhere in there is the truth. That's all I got for you. That's all I got for you. Fact check. Because if one more person got one more motherfucking time to tell me to just repeat shit they heard on TV. Alright? Like, don't be passionate about political candidates and shit and just repeating other people's garbage. Like, that's some faggot shit, and I do not co-sign the ignorance. On that note, I'm no longer at liberty to motherfucking record. So, that's it. Deuces.